know why I can't hear the fancy equipment. Is this your first go at it with this new equipment?
What's that?
Is this your first go at it with this new equipment?
No, Jared and I did a test run a few nights ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got a lot going on, huh?
Yeah, he does. Yo, so I'm rolling. I'm recording already.
What up? I just put the AC on now. I'm fucking dying. I'm not dying. I'm okay. It's just hot.
All right, guys. Welcome to the first episode here of Infiniti Iron.
I'm the first. Shit, man.
You're the first guest,
I
Steve.
should put on a fucking suit or something.
And you got all oiled up for me.
This is all me. Honestly, God.
So you are actually. We met back in 2016, I believe, and I'll give everyone a little intro first, and I'll let you fill in the gaps. But you are the owner of Top Strength Project in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, right? You are, I don't know if you're a professional strongman.
No. I went to nationals in 2010, which was actually my second, really third strongman competition. I won New York in 17. Which was really the first organized competition I did. And then I went to nationals, and that's where I broke my elbow.
Okay, so you were right before turning professional, is basically.
Yeah, I'm going back to nationals next June, and I don't think I'm just going to win. I think I'm going to sweep all 5 events, to be honest.
And then you also compete as a powerlifter as well, too, right?
Yes. I compete in strongman and powerlifting. I've done some CrossFit, Super League, and a handful of just some kind of more well-rounded, performance-based, timed work intervals, timed rest intervals, kind of like metabolic conditioning type competitions, which I really enjoy because it just really rounds things out. Just like your ability, kind of CrossFit-esque, but just
you're talking about the what's the league?
So Super League.
The Super League, is that?
Two of the 3 events in Super League were kind of more conditioning, one in particular. And then I did a mass challenge. And I can't recall the other 2, but just certain, competitions where it's your total weight lifted in a certain amount of time. And you cycle through lifts with like a 20-second work window to a 40-second rest window. And it's metabolic conditioning. So, you're just kind of like gassed, not like a 9 for like 40 minutes. And I really kind of enjoy that stuff too, that kind of output type thing,
So it's basically three different styles of training that you train for, in a sense. The only thing you haven't done is bodybuilding. You haven't thrown a pair of trunks yet.
No, not in the public eye.
So those are all the accolades that I know about you, Steve, because a lot of our relationship has just been mostly in the gym. Me using your garage to do oil changes and change brakes. What else is it? You know what I mean? But most of it's been in the gym. So if you can, take me through what it was like growing up with you in your family life.
So
that's something I've never really asked you.
So I'm from a small town from Dighton, Rehoboth. Kind of a classic upbringing. Both my parents are still together. They're still around. I love them both very, very dearly. But we couldn't be more different. I think we've spoken a lot about that, you and I, Nick, that, my father and I are polar opposites. He's the best dude I know, but he's just not the most ambitious guy. He's just very simple. He's hardworking. He's been a truck driver since he was 14, grew up working on a farm, but he just likes the simple things. And I respect that a lot. It's not my way. And he's so proud of me. He doesn't understand a goddamn thing I do. But he's so proud of me, and so is my mom. My mom's the classic Italian. Everything you do is fucking amazing, even if it's not. And
they are both sweet people.
They're just great people. And even though they have no idea what I'm doing. There is a 10 out of 10 level of just blind support.
Was it always like that with
always, and growing
with
up,
whatever you did?
Yeah, and growing up, the grass is always green on the other side. I have a lot of friends whose parents were hard asses and on them really, really hard. My girlfriend Jen's an example, and she hated that. Where I wish I had that. Growing up, I was very mediocre at best at everything I did. And I don't blame my parents for that, but everything I did in my mom's eyes was amazing, And I just kind of accepted growing up that I sucked at a lot of stuff. I was okay at certain things, and that
Like
was
sports you're talking about? You weren't an athletic kid?
Sports, I was very into BMX and outdoors type things and extreme sports. And I was a musician, and I was like okay at it. I was never good at anything. And my mom was always very, very supportive. But I just kind of growing up just accepted that there were guys and girls who were really good at that shit. And I just wasn't. I was always friendly with the best athletes and the best musicians and the best BMXers and all that. But I sucked. You know, looking back, I sucked. I was just okay with that. And it wasn't really until I had found weight training that I realized that you can be the best if you just work at it. And that's something that I realized after being in the gym for over a decade. You know, I started lifting weights when I was 13, 14. And what made me stick with it is I just really liked the way I felt when I was lifting weights. And I hated the way I felt when I wasn't. I'm sure you can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like,
yeah, definitely.
Solely what kept me in the gym, and I'm not exaggerating. Everyone always, you know, there's all those fucking t-shirts, team no days off, team whatever. But like, you know, I was in the gym 2 to 3 hours a day, every fucking day from age 13 to today. And it's
still like that.
yeah. But now we compete. We're in the fitness industry, so that's why. But the first 10 to 12 years, Nick, what kept me in the gym was just I loved the way I felt when I was lifting, and I hated the way I felt when I wasn't. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin.
So was it the first thing that you were somewhat good at that kind of reeled you in?
Well, what ended up happening was the specific epiphany I had. There were times throughout college specifically when I'd be at gyms and I'd be at the gym at school, and people would be like, dude, you're the biggest, strongest guy I've ever seen in person. And I was kind of like, you need to get out more, you know? But it wasn't
before Instagram.
Yeah, before Instagram, of course, yeah. But what really happened was when I started training as a professional, and I started at Boston Sports Club, which is very, very intimidating to me because I walked into this like 5-star gym that I'd never been in. And I mean, personal training rates were over $100 an hour. And I was like, who's going to pay $100 an hour to train with me? And within 2 to 3 months, I was very fortunate, became busy very, very quickly. And I was the master trainer at that gym. And I just kind of
How old were you then?
Oh, man, that was 22, 21, 22. It was my first job out of college, second really. And I just kind of had this epiphany, like, you know, I was definitely the biggest, strongest guy in that gym because no one else really lifted there. You know, Boston Sports was kind of, you know, a family general pop gym. So I was definitely the biggest and strongest, but, you know, that was just in that setting. But I became the most successful trainer, and I just kind of thought about that, and I was like, I'm the best trainer here. And I was like, fuck, man, like, how'd this happen? And I'm like, I know how it happened. I've been in the gym. How many hours have I accumulated in the gym? It's just something that I worked at and kept working at, not because I necessarily wanted to be the best, but I just enjoyed it. I had an affinity towards it. I was awful at it in the beginning. I was the weakest guy in the gym, but I just stuck with it. And all of a sudden I was at the top. I was at the top of
Boston.
Providence, Rhode Island. You know, it's not a big thing, but I just kind of had this idea and this new perspective on not only myself, but just the fact that we all have potential, you know, and I just really started taking myself more seriously, just as a human, and that was a big epiphany for me. And you know, you can never take steps back, but I just wonder if I had a little more push. That was the comment I made about having, you know, parents that maybe were on my ass at a younger age and held me to a higher standard, rather than being so unconditionally supportive.
Where your mom was kind of like, I'll do what you want, sweetie, type of deal. Like, we'll support you with whatever.
She never had, you know, she never was not athletic. She obviously didn't know about, you know, the other things I did. But she would, you know, just be like, that was great. That was so great. You're so great. You know, you're doing such a great job. And I didn't do shit. I mean, I have a very distinct memory of playing CYO basketball in my young teens. And this will offer you some context and perspective. So I was on a pretty competitive basketball league growing up. And I was the worst on the team. And this is how bad I was. During a game, I hit a layup. You know, like bounce pass in the key, laid it in. Not a game-winning 3-point shot. I didn't fucking break someone's ankles and dunk. I hit a layup, bro, and I got a standing ovation. And all of my friends on this, it's like I had Down syndrome. Like
Yeah.
all of my friends,
You were the slow kid on the team.
stood up and they were like, "Fucking right!" They were so excited for me, and I remember I had this like this intrinsic like kind of like I didn't feel good about that. I didn't understand why, but looking back, I understand why, because I got all this support and just this these pats on the back for doing the bare minimum. That's how bad I was.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was always like, "You're amazing," and I just wonder if I had someone on my ass or a mentor at a younger age, if I would have just been in a position to take myself more seriously at a younger age.
So do you think, I mean, still at 21 though, that's not old for you to be able to figure it out already or think you figure it out. You were in school, so you got a degree, and then what made you want to be a trainer? And a lot of the times, you know, being a trainer has a negative connotation behind it because like you're just a trainer, right?
Yeah.
You know, at the same time. So did you ever think like that?
No intention of being a trainer whatsoever. I went to school. The original plan for college was I was going to play college. I had a couple offers to play college ball at a high level, particularly Assumption, Bryant, and UNH. I was really in love with UNH. I went up there for a weekend my junior year, and I was like, "Shit, man, I want to play ball at UNH," you know. And I ended up getting in a really serious car accident the summer before my senior year. I fell asleep at the wheel coming home from work, shattered my jaw, broke both arms, broke both legs, was all laid up, and I was kind of like, you know, whatever, I'm not going to school, screw it, I'm going to work. So I got back on my feet and I started working again. I was doing trades at the time, and I was doing a roof, and I got tripped up on the roof, and I jumped off, I landed on my feet, and I broke both my heel bones.
Okay.
My calcanei, which in all honesty was the most pain I've ever been in my life. It hurt so bad. So basically I was laid up again, and I was like, shit, I'm going to go to school and give myself some options. So I went to Bridgewater State. You know, I didn't really have intention to play football again. I didn't know if I could because of all the injuries, but I kind of had an idea in my mind that maybe I'd like to try to play ball at the college level again. And Bridgewater, even though it's a very poor division, they did very well in their division. It's probably one of the worst D3 divisions in the country, but they did very well in that division. So I went to Bridgewater, studied exercise science and physiology. Really didn't have any intention of doing anything with it, but when I graduated, while I was in school, I was working for a great company, a framing outfit called the Severini and Associates Framing Company, and I got very close with them. And I had every intention of continuing to do that when I graduated. But in 2010, if you remember, there was a bit of a market crash and there was no work. Everybody was laid off. So I said, shit, I guess I'll be a personal trainer now. And I went, like I said, I got a job at Boston Sports Club through a connection that I had made at a bar I used to perform at, playing guitar. And I started training, and fast forward 12 years, and here we are. It was never the plan. I couldn't.
So did you find more of your ambition when you started training? Because in the beginning you had said, right, you and your father are a little bit different when it comes to goals and dreams and aspirations, right? He's kind of simple, right? Yeah. But, you know, would you have been okay with doing construction, or would it been, did you want to own your own company? Did you want to do something more? Or was it?
Yeah. So
when did the ambition start?
That's a very as far as working, as far as, you know, being productive and generating income and making money, that was something that I always definitely had an affinity towards. I learned trade work at very, very young. I was a laborer in my early teens for a framing outfit, you know, just picking up job sites. Then I learned to frame. And then I got connected with some friends who all had small, privately owned contractor companies. And I always worked. There was always work. And it was always a 6 or 7 day a week thing. Always. Because, you know, my parents, you know, I didn't grow up poor by any means. My parents are very comfortable. They're both hardworking. But I learned at a very young age that if I wanted something, I'd have to buy it. And I just have taste in things that are expensive. I like
very expensive.
Yeah, I like big loud trucks. I like big loud bikes, and I used to party my face off. You couldn't put a price on a good time for me, and I hated not being able to go places. Every weekend I'd spend $500, $1,000, $1,200 just going out partying, being a nutbag. So I had to work to facilitate that, and I never had any problem working. I always really liked working. So I would say that whatever field I got into, I would find a way to be successful at it. But the whole personal training business model was very daunting to me at first, because the whole idea of selling myself, saying, hey, I can teach you how to lift weights. It's $100 an hour. I would tell me to fuck off if I was you. You know what I mean?
And cold calling and all that.
Oh, yeah, totally not my thing. I'm not a salesperson at all. But I was very fortunate where I connected with a lot of people at Boston Sports Club just from being there and training, and I think having a different look. And it ended up, I was very fortunate. It ended up taking off for me very, very quick, and I never looked back.
Did you have long hair back then?
No, I was buzzed. This whole long hair thing happened just on a whim. Like, I always buzzed it, and then I didn't buzz it for a few months. And I remember I was out drinking with a bunch of buddies, and I had like a hat on, like a snapback on, and I had that kind of like a lacrosse look.
Yeah.
And my buddy Colin, whether he was serious or not, or was busting my balls, he was like, Steve, you have really nice hair. And everyone at the table was like, yeah, you got great hair. I was like, all right, fuck it, I won't cut it anymore. And I didn't. And now I
thought it was when people started calling you Jason Momoa. That's when it was a sure thing that you would start. That happened after.
Yeah, Jason Momoa wasn't around until I had long hair, and he's much better looking and much more successful. So it's not a bad comparison. We actually had the same birthday. He was born August 1st as well, which is odd.
You are what, 34 now?
I just turned 34 August 1st.
34, yeah. That's right. I was just looking at the photo of us at your 30th birthday. The whole group of us.
That was a great time. Jared made that cake, the
Minion. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Made that Minion cake.
So do you have a brother? Do you have sisters?
I have a younger brother, James. He's 30.
Okay.
And I have an older sister, Julia, who's 37. I'm the middle child. She's 3 years older. James is 4 years younger.
And are they similar to you, or as far as
polar
fitness? No? Okay.
No, polar opposite. My sister's never been into fitness. She recently kind of started doing CrossFit in classes. She's getting into it more and more, which is great, but that's brand new. Mm-hmm. And my brother has kind of had some trouble finding his niche, finding his way, but he just recently got his shit together, and he actually comes here. He's here every day, dude. He's here every day, and he looks great. He's really starting to turn it around. But again,
I'm pretty sure I saw a picture of him. I want to say it was over a year ago.
Like, shit.
Well, his arms, I was like, if this dude sticks with it, he'd literally be bigger than you.
Yeah.
He would.
Yeah, he looks great. And he just comes in here, and you never see anything like it. He comes in here, and he's just, it's like an hour to 2 hours, and it's just machine to machine, set to set. When I'm not here, my staff will call and be like, hey, your brother's here. I think he's on his 500th set. He hasn't stopped. Yeah. It's awesome.
How has that been for you guys as far as like you guys connecting?
Well, it's huge.
Because I know previously it was you weren't like, you guys didn't hang out a lot, right?
No, it was a huge rift growing up. It caused a lot of separation between my parents and I, because he was the youngest. And he and my sister have always been very heavily favored. And that's something that my parents and I talk about a lot. And they apologize all the time, but there's no rule book to parenting. You know what I mean? They did the best they could. And for whatever reason, I think they felt they had to kind of protect and aid my siblings a bit more than me, because I kind of always took care of myself and found my own way. I was
going to say, you seem like a very independent person now, and I'm assuming it seemed like that back then.
Yeah, and my brother, had a lot of trouble growing up, and so they really felt like they had to protect him, and it came at a cost of our relationship, not only mine and his, but mine and my parents. And once I moved out, my parents and I became very close, and he continued to struggle. So my parents actually started to come to me for advice, and they asked me to reach out to him and try to connect to him, and I was never able to do it. He you can't help someone who doesn't want to help himself, but very, very recently, he's really cleaned himself up, and he found an affinity towards the gym. So he asked maybe 7 or 8 months ago if he could start coming to my gym, and I said absolutely. And he's here every day. And he does a great job. And I know it means the world to him. My mom calls me sometimes and tells me that sometimes he goes home and he gets emotional. He cries, and he says just how happy he is to have a relationship with me, and how much he loves the gym, how much he loves the people here. He hasn't really swam in circles like this. You know how it is. Your gym buddies are your best buddies, and here I think is even further than that. I'm fortunate to be around great people, and now he is, and it really means a lot to him. He's very well accepted here. People love when he's around, and I think it extends and transcends far beyond just how he looks. And as you know, that's why we do this. It's so much.
Yeah, everyone thinks it's an external thing or a vain thing, and it's usually the furthest. It's usually it is, but it's the furthest thing from it usually.
Oh my God, there's so much more to it. You know, this is the anchor. This is our device and our tools, our sharpening tools that we use to just be more capable and dynamic people. You know,
absolutely.
I'm sure you can agree that like when my training's on and I'm eating and I'm resting, I feel like everything's in line and I have the tools necessary to take on the challenges of life, relationships, finances, professional things, whatever. And when my training's off and I don't feel well, all of a sudden I just feel like, well, I'm lost.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
This, and I'm sure you agree, this is what makes me a capable and dynamic human. And that's why I chose to do it professionally.
It's a lot of guilt for me as well, as far as internal talk, calling myself a pussy, knowing I'm capable of more. You know what I mean?
No doubt. Absolutely.
So when you don't do those things, it's like, dude, come on, you should be dieting, you should be doing these things that are easy. There's no reason you shouldn't.
Yeah. You met Ben briefly last night, right? Ben Chabelli.
I don't think I've ever met him yet. Because the last time we were at the gym together was 2019.
That picture of you and I were both wearing red out on the bench.
Yes, I think that was the last time.
Yeah, you were looking good.
I think I was getting ready for a show at the time.
Yeah, you were looking good. You were definitely in shape.
I'm gonna screen share this real quick, and let's see. Get this desktop up. And then I've got some photos, man. So when did you start the gym, man? Because do you remember these photos? Can you see this?
Very well. Yeah. So the original location.
So this was the original location, the Top Strength Project.
So that particular photo is probably a year or two in, but we were there for 3 years. So 16.
2016.
Yeah.
And this was pretty much the original crew minus me on the right. When you guys first opened, it was John to the left, you in the middle, and then Vanessa, which was your partner, right?
Yeah. So I was at BSC for 4.5 years, like I said. Then I went to Synergy, and I was asked to be the director of personal training. So Vanessa and this guy Tony Bonvecchia were the first trainers that I hired. So her and I worked at Synergy together for like 2 years, and she eventually said, "Hey, you got to open your own gym," because Synergy wasn't going so well. And I said, "I don't want to open a gym. Why would I want to do that?" And she was like, "Why not? You could do it tomorrow, and if you did, I'll follow you." So I said, "All right, fuck it, let's do it." So we did, and that's how it started. We were originally negotiating to open up within a CrossFit gym because they had 5,000 square feet available, and John was practicing out of there. So we ended up connecting, and he kind of, had a bit of a ceiling. He didn't really have a lot of equipment available to him, and he was trying to do a little bit more personal training in a CrossFit setting. So I ended up absorbing his business, and we ended up opening right up the street, and it was the three of us for a long while.
Now, as far as finances go at that time, so you were just training. So were you purposely saving? Did you take out a loan to do this? I mean, because I know
I don't save, my guy. I spend.
I know, I know you do. That's why I'm always curious about these with you.
So how I was able to pull that off is I had a very lucrative business. I was probably grossing between $10,000 and $12,000 a month, of which I was
at Synergy.
At Synergy, of which I was making 62% of, right? Because the takes their cut.
You were busy.
Yeah, I was doing like 60 sessions a week. I did 50 to 60 sessions a week for like 8 to 10 fucking years. Like, and that's not bragging. That's just saying that it was a lot. It was around the clock. But dude, that's what it takes in this industry to do it. You're trading your time for money, so you got to put the time in. But basically, what ended up happening was we had the idea to open a business. So I didn't really have much capital, but I did have 3 clients of mine that were believed in me like Vanessa did, and they said, "If you need some startup cash, we'll offer you a no interest loan. We'll write the check. Tell us what you need." So one of my clients loaned me 20, and 2 others each loaned me 10. So I had 40 grand to start up. And I've always paid my bills, so I had good credit, and I refinanced the credit card. I had a Capital One venture card that had a $6,000 limit at the time. And as you know, when you open a credit card, you get all these bonuses if you spend X amount in the first month. So venture had a really, generous incentive to spend money the first month. I knew I was going to buy a bunch of equipment, so I called them and I said, "Hey, can I open a new card with you guys to take care of that that incentive?" And they said, "You can open a new card every 2 years." When I opened the new card, they sent me my new card, and my balance was $59,000. My limit, 59. In all honesty, I thought it was. I think
gotta spend it.
I still think to this day it was a mistake. I don't know how because it was 6, and then 4 years later they gave me 59. But anyway, I had this credit card, and I had 40K, so I just said, let's get started. So I just started buying equipment, and what was so great is, like I said, I had a business day one, so I had $10,000 to $12,000 in income that I was only making 60% of. Now I'm making 100% of it. Vanessa had a pretty good business.
Were you able to take all clients over, and was that a big issue?
Every single person followed. Every single one. Same thing when I went from BSC to Synergy. I was very grateful. Every single one followed me, and that's the business. There's a lot of non-compete laws out there and red tape, but it's all BS. People tend to become closer and more connected to the trainers they work with in the gym they work out at. It's just the way that it is. And I'm sensitive to that.
It's a relationship business.
I'm sensitive to that as a business owner. I have 5 employees now, and if they want to go off on their own, I am completely supportive, and I understand that all of their clients will follow them. And I take responsibility for that. If I want them to stay, I have to make it sweet enough that they don't want to leave. So I understand that business. But yeah, everybody followed. Vanessa had a bit of a business as well, and so did John. So I had my business income, and they both paid rent. I charged $1,000 of rent, $1,000 a month for rent, for unlimited use of the facility. So I had that coming in, and I would just buy a bunch of equipment, max out my credit card, pay it off. And I would just do that. I did that for 6 months, and we had a gym. But the thing is once the gym was open, we were profitable. We were in the green month 1 because we had enough income to offset our monthly expenses, which at that location was around $7,000 a month. That gym cost to run, around $7,000 a month. So
how many square feet was that gym?
Oh man, there were the 2
3 to
rooms,
4.
Right? There were the 2 rooms. The back room was $1,200 on the money, and the front room was like $1,340 of training space, plus the office, the showers, and the bathroom that we put in. So like 3,000 square feet training space, a little less, and probably another 1,200 square feet.
And then how long were you there for at that? It was 3 years you were at that location, right?
3 years, just about. Exactly.
That location, man, holds a special place in my heart.
I'll bring some on. I got steak. Dude, same here. And it's so funny because I was so happy there. It was our space. It was our spot. And I never felt like we lacked anything.
Dude, I mean, everyone who walked in that gym knew everyone.
Yeah.
There was no cliques. There was no groups. Everyone spoke to everyone, from all the different trainers and all the different clients. And it really felt like a family. And I've spoken to a bunch of people. A lot of people feel that way. They're like, man, I missed that old top. It was a close knit of, 20 people or so. Yeah.
And I can tell you, when it was time to expand, I kind of had a bit of, not anxiety, but I had a bit of a reservation in, not only the family aspect, but also just the atmosphere and the community that we provided for each other from a training standpoint. Like some days you don't feel like doing it, but you show up there and your boys, your bros and your girls, they're getting after it, and it was such a beneficial thing. And when I wanted to expand and have a 10,000 square foot facility and actually have a full service membership and all that, I said, shit, man, like how long until that community, that culture gets watered down and it becomes more like a Gold or more like a Planet? Not that there's anything wrong with those gyms, but like you said, that really meant something to me, because that was an organic thing that was created organically.
I don't think that's very difficult to reproduce.
Yeah, and how do you scale that, right? But I got to be honest, there's been a few bumps along the way, but This new gym, we're coming up on 400 members, and it's just the old space magnified.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Well, I've trained there a bunch, man. It's a great facility with top-notch equipment. I mean, you have Arsenal, you have everything elite, FTS, Rogue, all the strongman, right? I mean,
yeah.
You have Watson dumbbells that you just recently got up to 100 pounds, which I'm very fucking jealous, dude. Yeah. How are they?
They're great. They're great. I wouldn't say that like, I wouldn't say that if you had one set of dumbbells, I would go with the fat grip rotational Watsons, because, you know, if you want to do a heavy row, you're limited.
Yeah.
Because grip is so much, but I love them for arms. I love them for pressing. It definitely offers a bit of relief and training response on the joints that traditional dumbbells don't. But if I want to do a 150-pound dumbbell row and get my lat fucking cooking, you know, I use the other dumbbells.
Yeah.
So they're great, but only if you have the space and the expendable income to make that investment, because I
think I priced them. Yeah, they're like 46.
They're 3-4 times what a traditional iron or rubber hex set would be.
1 to 100, I thought, was about 40 grand.
Yeah. No, that's what it was, but I think I got that whole set for a little over 20.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Shipped from the UK.
UK, yeah.
But my legacy Yorks, a set to 120, was 5 grand shipped.
Wow.
You know, and but that was without racks. The Watsons came with racks, but you got to figure they're at least 4 times as much. I mean, they're 4 times the dumbbell, but you know, they have their place. If I had to buy one dumbbell set, I would go with regular traditional dumbbells, I think, over those. But having both is great.
You still have the Yorks? Yeah, the solid ones.
Yeah, I have those up to 200 now.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
So what else?
I come in and go like, "Hey, how high do your dumbbells go?" I'm like, "Why, Hot Rod?" Why?
There's probably 3 or 4 guys there who consistently lift them.
Oh, well, I can do the hundreds for a tell me anything. I'm like, that's fucking amazing, dude. Yeah.
So what plans do you have for the gym? You've been open 4 years. You're in Pawtucket, right?
5 together.
5?
Yeah.
Okay. Total of 5. So what's the plan for the next 3 to 5 for you? I know there's always something up your sleeve. You guys host a strongman competition as well there.
Yes. So I just recently became the USS rep. My buddy Corey's the NAS rep. So we have both.
Yep, I know Corey.
Strongman, great dudes. So we have both strongman federations, the only 2 available, both here. So we'll have 2 to 3 competitions a year here. I've also become pretty tight with the USPA powerlifting rep. So we do three meets a week here. And you know, this is the best place to compete. I have all the equipment. I have all the racks. You know, in my competitive experience, you know, if you go to gyms, but particularly if you go to like a hall, if you compete at like, I've done a few at Mohegan Sun. I've done a few at like different recreation centers. There's no equipment, dude. And I got to
bring in everything.
Everything.
So it's limited, obviously.
They're only bringing in the competitive implement. So for strongman in particular, all you have is a log, a bunch of stones, and a deadlift bar. It's like, dude, you know, I got to warm up. So when people train here, they have access to the full gym. I got 20 squat racks. I got 500 barbells, everything you need. And all my members are a bunch of sickos. They love this shit. You know, this place is butt to nut, dude. Right in the middle of COVID, we had 250 fucking people here for a powerlifting meet. It was fucking sick. It was crazy.
Good for you guys. Good for you.
You can't have a good meet in this atmosphere. You know, you gotta get a desk job. You know, so that's huge. The competitions have been great, and they're only growing. So that's a huge driver, and I'm just so grateful to be able to house that stuff. You remember the old gym, like just how great it was to have those super totals, which we still do.
Oh yeah, I mean you have the space for it now.
Yeah, and it was even great there. It's so much fun. You know, I live for that shit, and so does everyone else here. It's really, really great to be able to share that common denominator with so many great people. From a business standpoint, you know, now that the gym is profitable and just about paid off, you know, my goal isn't so much to grow. However, if they were to go out of business next door, I definitely would absorb some more space. But that's not really. It's more so about improving the space we already have. So. It's my goal. I've never been able to facilitate a part-time trainer to build a full-time business. At Synergy, I hired V and I mentored her a bit, and she was able to build a full-time clientele that she still has today. But I've had, half a dozen, 8, 9 trainers here, and they're all great, but they're all part-time. I've never been able to get anybody full-time, and I take some responsibility for that because at BSC, I had a FSM, I had a fitness service manager whose job was to manage, mentor, support, feed all the trainers. And, they don't have that. And additionally, I'll never be a 2,000 membership gym. There's only so many faces here, I would say that per capita, like per the 400 members, probably 30 to 40, maybe 50% of those members are interested in services, where at Boston Sports Club, there were 2,000 members and only 5 to 7% trained, so, but it's still, there isn't as much, exposure here.
I was one of those people.
Yeah.
I was definitely on that side 100%.
It's tough to build in this job. So now that the gym is profitable and I don't have to train 60 sessions a week anymore, I've been kind of trimming some fat, giving some of my clients away. And it's my goal that by this time next year to have 2 or 3 trainers here that are making $100,000 a year. I really like to do that. I really like to facilitate that. So that's a huge goal of mine in the upcoming year to 3 years. The next thing is I have some pretty big personal goals. I plan to win nationals for strongman. I just missed the national deadlift record last year. I hit it in training 2 weeks before the competition. I hit an 850 deadlift. I fucking smoked it, but I muffed it in the competition. I peaked a little too early. Fuck me. So I want to take that national record, and I want to get a 2,200 pound total, which would put me top 5 in my weight class in the country. And I think after that.
What weight class are you in, Steve?
275. I'm a heavyweight.
Okay. What do you say? You're 6'4"?
6'5".
6'5".
I walk like 270, 275.
Okay.
And my goal is to get a little heavier, 280, 285, so I can actually have to cut for comps, because I'm usually
Gotta stop eating all those vegetables, Steve, and eat more carbs. Come on. You know the deal.
No, honest to God, I have. I do I'm eating like 5 to 6 cups of rice a day.
I would always make fun of Steve because half of his plate would be like kale and spinach, and I would have zero vegetables in there. And Steve would be like, what the hell are you doing, man?
That's that Poliquin.
It was Poliquin.
Now I'm tight with Stan, and I'm a little more. I do the vertical diet now, so
okay.
I push a lot of carbohydrates now. I'm 500 to 700 almost every day, but I need a little. But you
more. Should be, man. I was gonna say you should. Yeah.
I got to get that. I need 5 whole food meals a day and 2 shakes. I can do 4, but I got to start doing 5 consistently if I want to grow. But I got to be honest, and I hate to make excuses, but this heat, when it's fucking 95 degrees, dude, it fucks with my appetite. I can't do it. It's hard. But it's an excuse. But that's only a month or 2 out of the year, so that'll go away.
I mean, after shoving so many meals down, after a while, your appetite does slow down, and it becomes like it becomes just trying to get the food in regardless.
Yeah, and I got to be honest, and you as a bodybuilder, I think it's harder to push food to grow than it is.
Harder. I'd rather diet
all day.
Any
day. The only hard part about dieting is if you're really dieting hard, and I've never really dieted nearly as hard as a competitive bodybuilder, but if I'm dieting or if I'm restricting food, the only challenge is that my workouts are harder because I don't feel full. Other than that, dude, I can work all day on an empty stomach. It doesn't matter. I can sleep, but it's just my training feels. And also, when you're low carb, you don't get those full pumps.
Oh yeah. I also think it's because we both like that tight feeling. I know you've never been a guy to want to get like fluffy. You always, you want to keep the V lines.
Absolutely. I like going tight. So pushing food, like if I'm looking at a delicious steak and a pile of rice, and I feel sick to my stomach.
Something's wrong.
Hard.
I know.
That's hard. Pushing food is hard. I think I could diet all day. But to go back to that question, the other goal of mine is I'd love to be in a position where I've accomplished enough that other gyms would reach out to me and want to fly me in to put on seminars and workshops, not only for their members but for their staff, to help mentor their staff. I've had a couple of offers, a gym up in Maine and a gym in Boston, to do that. And I just think that would just be such a special opportunity to go out to another gym and just speak about my practices, kind of how I, my intake process with clients, how I train myself. I'd love to do a nutritional seminar. I feel like I could definitely have an impact doing that, and I would just be so grateful to be in a position where people would seek me out to do that. But I'd like to have a few more. I'd like to accomplish a little more first. I think I should have a 2,200 pound total, and I should win that strongman pro card first.
That's funny. That's how I feel about a lot of things before. It's like, you know what, man, I need a few more accolades before I can tout that I'm pretty good at anything. Right.
Yeah. And I said
most people don't feel like that.
The last time I had Stan Efferding out here, he fucking reamed me, dude. I was dropping him off at the airport. We went to Longhorn to grab some steaks before he went, and we were just kind of talking about, what we were doing next. He told me what he was doing with the book, and he's like, "What's your deal?" And I told him that, and he was like, "Steve," he's like, "You're fucking ready right now, dude. What are you talking about?" He's like, "I was just at your gym." He's like, "I see how those people act and respond to you." He's like, I've seen you train. We've had a lot of phone conversations. He's like, you start writing your book today. And he was like, and when it comes out, he's like, I'm buying the first copy and I'll sell it on my site. Mm-hmm. And I haven't followed through with that. I hope he's not mad at me. I still talk to him maybe once or twice a month. But that was quite a feeling to have someone, such a special,
some validation
from someone like that. Growing up, like I said, my mom, everything I did with my mom was incredible. And it's like, yeah, whatever. But to have someone like Stan Efferding say that. And
well, it's in our field, right? So it's the impact behind it is a little bit greater than someone, who doesn't.
Someone I really, truly admire and respect a great deal.
Of course.
So that was very cool. So that's definitely something I'd like to try and get rolling within the next 2 to 3 years. But I would really like to have the next goal is to help my guys and girls out here, get them busy, get them successful, fill their plates, mm-hmm. so that if I do go away for a long weekend, they're on and they know exactly what to do. I really love the people I work with. I'm very, very grateful to them, and I owe it to them to get them set up before I start doing any traveling.
Okay, that's awesome. So as far as your competitive stuff goes, in the next 3 to 4 months, what do you have going on right now? Where are you at right now?
So I'm like 12 or 13 weeks out from my tricep repair.
Okay. This is the second surgery that you had on this?
Yes. The first one was after that tumble over at Nationals in 17, where I fractured my olecranon and I had 10 screws and 2 plates put in. Mm-hmm. And my tricep was detached. It was attached for 3 years. So I went back, I got a lot of that hardware taken out and got my triceps reattached. And so far so good. I think I have some nerve damage, so I may never have full use of my left arm, but it's getting better.
Does it feel better without that plate in there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can feel it more. So he claims that a good 2/3 of my tricep was detached at the tendon. So he claims he was able to reattach all of it. So I should be looking forward to a pretty good recovery. So if you scroll up.
Yeah, where's this tricep, Steve?
If you scroll up, so right there, that's the day after surgery.
Right here?
If you go, yeah, so that's me doing some deadlifts.
This is the day after?
This is three days after.
Okay.
The day after, if you scroll down, you see me with a dog. Yeah, that's the day after. I had that nerve block.
Oh, right here.
Oh my God, and I couldn't feel my arm, so I had to do something. So I got on a bike. And I rode a bike for an hour to try and get some blood flow going because my arm was just dead to the world.
Your right arm?
My left arm.
Oh, okay.
And there was like a push-up challenge going on at my gym, so I ended up doing it. But that's the day I got out of surgery right there. What else is going on?
You're freaking rolling, Steve. That's how you know it's mental for you, right? You just need to do it.
Oh my God, dude, that nerve block sucked. But if you bring up YouTube and type in injury perspective, that'll show you a clip. Injury perspective. Oh yeah, so that was a bit I did with University Orthopedics after my surgery. But maybe right there. So bring up my page. If you click on that athletes, click on Strippcam, the Top Strength Project, and there'll be an injury perspective video. If you scroll to the right of the videos, you scroll down, right there, injury perspective. So if you scroll forward a little bit, you can see the fall. Yeah, that's before I had surgery.
This was the
This is the fall right here. So right when I crossed the finish line, my legs gave out and I landed right on my arm. I wasn't in a lot of pain. I didn't know it was broken, but I broke my olecranon, the proximal side of my ulnar, straight through. That's the stitches. So that's the break right there. That's the program I wrote for myself, Operation GIMP.
I remember you writing that one.
Yeah, and just a lot of legs. But I had the hardware removed, or most of it. A lot of the screws are still in there. He tried to back them out, but the head snapped off. So all the screws are still in there, but the plates are out. And he claims he was able to reattach my tricep. So far so good. So I'm doing some more pressing. I just won New York Strongest Man 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
For the third time. That was cool. That was kind of on a whim.
Now, do you just enjoy competing sometimes for these, right? Because it's not a necessity for you to qualify for anything anymore, is it?
No, it is. It is. So that one qualified me for nationals, but I was originally planning on doing Massachusetts Strongman, which is September 25th. That's what I was preparing for, but I just caught wind of New York, and it's always a great show, and I really love and admire Todd and his wife Anna and what they do. They put on a great show. And a couple of guys from my gym that I train were like, "Hey, I'm doing New York." I was like, "Great, I'll come watch." I just had surgery.
Come watch.
Yeah, I was like, I just had surgery. So I was like, "When is it?" And they were like, "It's next weekend." I'm like, "Yeah." So I look at the events, and the overhead event was a circus dumbbell, one arm. So I didn't need this on.
Perfect.
And I said, "Dude, if I go and watch, I'm gonna be miserable." So I just said, "Fuck it." I signed up, and so I had 3 days to prepare. So I didn't really prepare, and I ended up winning. So that qualified me for nationals. But I'm still gonna do Massachusetts. That's September 25th. I'm doing that with my buddy Nico, who has become a very close friend. He's a super heavyweight, so he'll be doing super heavy. I'll be doing heavy. We're going out to Waco next week. He's gonna try and deadlift 1,000 pounds.
Okay.
He's 400 pounds. He's a monster. So he and I are having a lot of fun. So our goal was to go to this competition in mass and both win, and then we want to go to nationals and both win nationals. We want to sweep the heavyweight and super heavyweight.
So if you win nationals, what's the next step? Is there? So now you would be a professional. Is there something? Yep. Pro. Same thing with IFBB, right?
Yeah. Is you start getting invites to bigger shows. So for example, Nico placed second in nationals last year, so he's had all these opportunities. He got invited to participate in the American Deadlift Championship, so that's pretty huge. So basically, you just have more exposure and you get invites. I'll never compete at the world level because I don't have any interest in being 400 pounds. I want to stay at this weight, maybe a little heavier, but we're not world strongest man, but I think it's OSB or something like that. But there are two federations that are like world-class competitions, but there are weight classes.
Okay.
So it's definitely not like the Arnold or the world where it's open. But there are these other two federations that their names escape me. But like America's Strongest Man has weight classes. And let's say it's OSG, there's weight classes. So, competing in those would be a great opportunity.
The Arnold doesn't have weight classes?
No, it's open. So
okay, so it's open. Got it.
So basically, after you win nationals, you get invited to these bigger shows, and a lot of them qualify you for worlds, but those would all be open. And I don't think I'd be competitive enough in those arenas because they're just so goddamn big. But
is there a top show that you can see yourself competing at once you become pro? And as far as your age goes, you're 34. So what do you feel like? When do you feel like you'd get there? And when do you feel like you're going to be kind of tapping out as far as body wise?
Well, I think, as long as I'm smart and I take the low and slow approach and take care of myself, you can do this in your mid 40s. I'd say I have another 10 years if I'm smart about it. And to be honest, I kind of would feel like shit as I get closer to competitions in the past, like my joints and everything. And I have a lot of nagging injuries going on, but overall, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good. I have a lot of great resources around me, and I think all these things are improving. So I think that's key. I feel pretty good. Like right now I'm kind of peaking in strength. I have an 800, like an 820 triple coming up, and I feel good. I don't feel really banged up or really tight. I mean, the last time I was up around this intensity in my training, I was feeling like shit. I was tired, really achy, but I feel pretty fresh, so being able to maintain that kind of mindset and taking care of yourself, I think I have another 10 years, but I think I'm going to be hitting some pretty big competitions. If I do win nationals, I'm going to win nationals. I say I'm going to win nationals. And after that, I think for the next 3 years or so, I should be doing some pretty good competing, I think, and at a pretty high level.
That mindset is needed, man. The confidence is needed like that. And if you can't picture yourself being up there, it's a lot of the times you're just not going to if you can't.
Well, that's something I got from Nico very recently. So I've always tried to stay modest, and I've been fortunate to be pretty dominant in a lot of the competitions I've done, particularly strongman, especially with one arm. I would zero the overhead in the last 8 shows I did, and I would just sweep the rest of the events. Again, they're local state shows.
Still, but I mean, as far as your arm goes, I mean, the difference between your squat, your dead, and then compared to your bench because of the elbow injury, I mean, it's a significant difference.
Yeah, on standard charts, I'm in like the 140th, 120th, 140th percentile in my squat and deadlift, and my bench is like 80th percentile.
Yeah.
And hopefully that'll come back. This has been such a limiting factor for me. But Nico, when we started training together, he just came right out. He said, "Listen, Steve, I'm gonna need you to start talking some more shit." He's like, this whole docile thing, he's like, it's not gonna fly. He's like, we're here to put on a show.
As far as the training with you guys, meaning he wants you to yell at him a little bit more?
No, like on social media like in my posts, he's like, you got to talk a little more shit. He's like, you got it going on. He's like, you dominate, and let's get a little more mouthy to try and draw more attention to the shows we have coming up to make it more of a spectacle.
I've always wondered that, because you're a loud character, man. You have a different look, a unique look. You're a tall guy, big guy, and strong. So I've always wondered why
I'm not mouthier.
Well, exactly.
I don't know. I guess it's a confidence thing, but it's definitely like what if I fucking lose? What if I'm running my mouth and I don't hit this lift, or if I run my mouth and I don't get this done, that's humiliating. And I've always been able to get it done. I'm very fortunate. I've won every competition I've done, aside from the nationals where I broke my arm and I took second at a mass show. I took second. Other than that, I've won every strongman and every powerlifting comp I've ever done. I've won every single one, which is great, But I kind of like that. I kind of like, someone like Nico, who I respect and adore and admire, to say like, hey man, why don't you fucking speak up a little bit? You know what I mean? Get a little, and it's fun. It's fun. It adds a little bit of flair, and it also makes a spectacle of it. Like calling out the other competitors, playfully. They should know what we're doing. We're just trying to add a bit of flair to the show. But as we get closer to nationals and that roster grows, I want to get chirping a little bit with the other competitors. I want to kind of draw some attention to it, because that's huge. You think about like wrestling,
Of course.
It's all shit talk.
It was a game too. Yep.
All shit talk. And it's awesome. It's so much fun to watch. MMA, those guys are going back and forth. A lot of it's a bit inflated. But why not?
You can use the mental to get into their head a little bit, and throw them off.
From a standpoint, but also just trying to draw a crowd, get people talking a little bit. I want those fucking stands in New Hampshire next year to be bumping. Now I want to put on a show.
Were you a little bit reserved because you always had that feeling of the underdog from when you were younger, type of deal, or is it just kind of more of an internal thing?
I'm sure that plays a role, but the biggest thing that has me keep my mouth shut in competition is one, I never want to be a bully. A lot of people are there. They've been working just as hard as I have, and I want to be there at the end to congratulate and support. I don't want to boast. I don't want to gloat, because that sucks, dude. We've all seen that. And that's a shit person. So that kind of bothers me. I don't want to be a bully. And I don't want to condescend my fellow competitors because I'm so appreciative that they're there and I want to share that experience with them. That's what's so great about strongmen in particular is it's such a cohesive and community atmosphere. You know, everyone wants to see each other do epic shit. And also, I would hate to run my mouth and fail.
Yeah,
that would be humiliating. But I plan to be a little mouthier, and I plan to have a little more fun with it with the intent to draw more attention to the sport and the show, and not to necessarily demean or be derogatory towards my fellow competitors, but just to get us talking to try and draw more attention.
Create some hype within the sport. Yeah,
very valuable. And I think if there's more people there yelling and screaming, it's only gonna make us all perform better.
That's one thing I like about the powerlifting and strongman. The community is definitely a little bit different than the bodybuilding community. I mean, they are all small communities, but strongman seem like a little bit more welcoming.
Well, I can tell you a great story to kind of allow an example of that is New York Strongest Man. It was really me and this one other kid and everybody else. He and I were back and forth. And going into the final event, it was a max stone. She had 3 attempts at 3 stones, and the heaviest stone wins, similar to a powerlifting meet. And the state record at the time was like 380, and I was on pace to try the 400 stone, you know. And this other guy, his name escapes me. Total stud, little taller than me, a little bigger up top, not the biggest legs.
What year was this?
This was 17. He was a monster. And
I feel like I remember this.
Fucking strong guy, and I didn't have sleeves for stones. And he's a main guy. He worked at he worked on a horse farm or something, so he had like horse wrap. He's like, "Come over here, dude." He wrapped up my forearms and tacked me all up. And this is not only my competitor, but this is the guy that I'm head to head with right now for the win.
1 and 2.
And he wanted to see me hit that 400-pound stone. I think in his head he thought he was going to hit it after me and beat me, but he couldn't even pick it up off the ground. But he wrapped me up. And during the stones, I was somewhat new at it. When I hit, it was 360, 380, 400. When I hit the 360, it fucking took everything I had. And one of the other competitors and one of the judges was like, "Hey, Steve, come over here." He's like, "You got to bring your feet in, get your feet under the stone." And they had me reach a little more. And I threw the 380. You know, these are fellow competitors and judges literally there instructing each other.
Coaching you, yeah.
Everyone can do well. And when I hit that 400 stone, everybody lost their shit. Everybody in my class, all the spectators. And you're not going to find that in any other competitive atmosphere. Powerlifting, kind of, but no one's really talking in powerlifting, especially during the squat and bench. During the deadlift, everybody kind of lightens up a bit, but it's a little clickier. And the CrossFit comps I did were extremely clicky, especially where I wasn't a CrossFitter and I was showing up and burying all of them. They didn't like that shit at all.
Yeah.
They didn't like that. No one wanted to talk to me. They kind of turn the other way. But strongman is on the polar opposite of that spectrum. It's really, really fun. And powerlifting is a close second, but it's really nice. And I'm sure bodybuilding, you know, in that back room, you got your boys, you got your clique, you got your crew. I'm sure like people have similar coaches and stuff, so you guys all hang together. But I bet people aren't trying to talk to you. People aren't trying to make new friends.
I mean, backstage, I'm usually a wreck. You know, I try to go back there right when my class is coming out, because the second you're back there and you're looking at all these guys, regardless of what you look like, you're like, holy shit, look at this guy.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
So,
same thing with me when I show up to the meet. I'm like, is that guy in my fucking weight class? Holy shit.
Yeah, you're like praying to God he's not, but that's just, you know, that's the last minute nerves that I think you're trying to get out.
And everybody's going through that, you know. In our
Absolutely,
we're looking out, and these guys are fucking assholes. No one's talking to me. They're mean mugging me, but they're shaking in their shit too. They're just as nervous as you are. That's all that is.
Oh, I got cold sweats the whole time, you know, back there.
Yeah, but everyone else has experienced the same thing, I'm sure.
Hey, last but not least, I want to touch on one thing too. Do you have any photos on your Instagram of your cars? Your trucks?
Yeah, White Lightning, Big Red, and my Harley. Yeah. There's a couple there. I could post some up right now if you want to bring them up.
Yeah, throw them up if you can, or if you want to text them to me, I can throw it up over here.
Yeah. So White Lightning's been under the knife big time. I put a big monstrous turbo in it. I'm trying to get it to be like up over 700 horse, which is sketchy as fuck in an old truck, but it's fun. I just had a bunch of body work done.
It's a Chevy Silverado, right? Is that what it is?
The newer one, the jacked up one is a Chevy.
Okay.
I just got all this body work done on the white one. I got me doing a little burnout on the white one. I'll send these over, and then I'll send over some of Big Red. Big Red, my red one, the Silverado is pretty sweet. It's all jacked up. I put it on 38s. And
I see it right here.
It's pretty. It's got all kinds of lights and flashy this and flashy that, but it came out really good. Oh, here's my Harley. I should have an album, huh? This is kind of irresponsible.
All right, we got it right here.
Yeah, that was on the way to, remember the Cove?
Yeah, I remember the Cove. That was on the way to there?
So I took a ride to the Cove with my buddy Andre.
White Lightning right there.
Yeah, that's White Lightning. We got all the body work done. I sent you a video of me doing a little burnout in the parking lot. But that's all new. That's a 04. It was all covered in rust, and I had the whole thing restored. It came out really good. This guy over in Johnston did a great job.
Sounds nice.
Every night, all the members are like, light them up! I wish the tires smoked a little more. But yeah, that thing's dangerous. Yeah, so that's a 2010 rocker. It didn't look like that when I got it. That wheel, the bars, a little bit of motor work.
No, you've done a lot of stuff to it.
Yeah, the seat, the fender. And it's funny because when I got it, I was like, man, this thing's perfect. I'm not going to have to do anything to this bike. And I was sorely mistaken. It never stops.
I was kind of looking at a V-Rod recently.
Oh, yeah, those are cool. Those are fast.
Yeah, they have a nice look to it. It's like a nice in-between from not a crotch rocket to something else.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like you get on a website, you start looking at catalogs, and it's like you're like a teenage girl at Target with your mom's credit card. It's like you can't stop.
I drove a Bronco. I took a Bronco out for the afternoon a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, those new Broncos are pretty sharp, huh?
Like the actual Bronco, like a real one, not the not the fake sport ones.
Yep.
Rode nice, man. Rode real nice.
Yeah.
And then this bad boy, huh?
Yeah, that came out really good. That doesn't have a lot of motor work. I'm putting a cam in it now. It just has an intake, an exhaust, and a chip. That's got like mid 600 to the wheels. That's a 6.2. That's a sweet truck. It's got.
What's the lift on that?
It's a McGoffey's 9-inch, but then so the tires would fit because the tires are 14 inches wide, which was probably a mistake because they rub in the front. So I had to do
Remember you saying that.
I had to do a leveling kit in the front, so it's and then I did a body lift, so it's a 15-inch lift in the front and a 13 in the back.
And is that those hostile wheels? Is that what they are?
That's a couple.
Yeah, dude, they just went blank. It literally just froze on me. My whole computer just
you had this like
reset.
This like look on the screen. It was a riot.
No, I was just praying to God that it fucking recorded. It did. We're good. But yeah, man, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you coming on and chatting with me, man. It's been a good time.
No, it's a pleasure, and I'm psyched for you. I appreciate the opportunity, but this is great. I'm really glad you're doing this. Who do you have lined up? Do you have anyone else on the queue? Yeah,
I've got Justin coming up on September 10th, and then I also I got Nick right on deck as well.
Sweet.
But there's a lot of, I kind of want to do like a lot of amateur.
He'll be interested in like all the things he got involved in post YouTube. Like he was doing a lot of day trading and shit like that.
That's what I want to talk to him about. And Nick's a pretty interesting dude. Yeah. He's just not a simple answer type of guy either. And I think he's been offline for like 6 months or more now.
Yeah.
That was his job. So I'd be curious to see what the hell's going on. He hasn't lifted either.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
I'm gonna cut all this.
he was never going to be a lifer. I knew it.
I'm gonna record that. Yeah, no, 100%.
It's just like, you know, it's all the peons that are here that haven't accomplished anything. They're just getting started. It's like all these resources being so readily available is great, but it's too much. It's too much because these people who are just getting started and have not been through the trials and tribulations of hard training, knowing what that feels like, being injured, being set back, grinding through pain, developing a base that takes 3 to 5 years minimum of just hard, nose to the grind, crushing, sweating, puking, vomiting training. That's the base. But all these guys and girls have all these resources available to them, and it's all this minutia. And I can tell you definitively, any guy or girl that I know that has really made it, or really has a remarkable physique, or is strong as fuck, or looks sick on a bodybuilding stage, they don't give a fuck about any of that shit.
Oh, absolutely not.
Output. It's all about output.
I think it's also how you're taught. And I always say I was like very lucky when I started training, because the guys I started training with, where it was a garage gym, right? It was all these old school guys came in jeans and boots, right? And it was about hard training, and that's all it was. Yep. But I learned the basics there, you know, and a lot of these kids are learning these like one arm chest press on Instagram because some guys who shredded 2 weeks out from a show is doing it.
I can't. All these fucking guys hitting angles and shit, saddling my chest press because they want to work the upper pec. It's like, dude, you're fucking 25% body fat. Okay? You can't see any of that shit. Meanwhile, Justin Randall over here is like a fucking pile of granite, and he's squealing, grinding through sets of 20 on the leg press. It's like, can you see what's happening over here?
It's just like take some notice and watch the guys who are actually building the muscle, you know.
And at the end of the day, dude, all that shit is just, it's an excuse to avoid the hard work. It's just fucking laziness. And they can try and tell me, you know, work smarter, not harder, blah, 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 blah. Oh, it's the way my brain works. I'm just very intellectual and thorough. You're fucking lazy. And if I run into you in 10 years, you're going to look the same. You're going to be doing the same dumb shit. You're not going to get fucking anywhere, dude. Give me a fucking break. Paralysis by analysis. Now, granted, you know, you have to have an approach, especially as you get more and more elite. That's when that stuff comes in.
The programming.
There always has to be the balls to brain ratio. And I'm telling you, dude, the longer I'm doing this shit, that fucking pie wheel, the balls section, if the balls is red and the brains is blue, that fucking blue is getting smaller and smaller for me. The longer I'm in this industry, you know, it's at the end of the day, dude, it's all about output. Mm-hmm. And all that brain stuff has its place, but the whole point of that is so you can get back to the work.
Yeah.
You know?
And a lot of people, you know, when it comes to the training, when it comes to an athlete, it's easier to tell an athlete to pull back. But when it comes to a normal person, they don't know that push. So they've never been there because they're not an athlete, you know? So it's harder for them to understand what actual failure is, or what actual, you know, training is a lot of the times.
That's something you have to learn over time. And that's one of the things in that 10 reasons you're not growing thing I put up, is that like there are metrics, there are trackable aspects to training, you know, like sets, reps, weights, rest periods. You know, these are all controlled variables that can be tracked and manipulated, but something that can be measured and that you can progress over time and manipulate over time and create progress. But something that can't be measured, and is perhaps one of the most important aspects and adaptations to training, is your ability to suffer. Like, when it hurts, like how much more
deep can you dig?
Fucking go. And that's something that you and me and everyone that lifts weights should be getting better at. Literally just being comfortable when you're uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. That's where you got to go. That's where you got to live after you get past the newbie gains, which everyone has for the first 3 to 6 months of training. You gotta learn how to be uncomfortable. But what's challenging is there's no way to measure that. You know, you can't track that. It's just this intrinsic feeling and there's a lot of other factors that play into it. But dude, that's the show.
Yeah, that's absolutely. The show.
To anybody and even the most, you know, you look at, like, I look at Steffi Cohen a lot because she's got a huge brain, but she also has got huge balls, and she talks about that a lot. just the mentality, the approach, the grit, the visualization, and just and how much of a role that has played in her process.
Almost when you mean brains, it's like the brains to have that confidence too. You know, the brains to have that craziness to kind of get yourself there.
Yeah, and just to be able to go there and stay there for as long as necessary. You know, I'm not talking about being like a caveman, but you know, too many thinkers out there, my guy. Everyone's a fucking exercise physiologist today, and they're all skinny and weak as fuck.
No accolades either.
Give me a break, man. Come on.
No accolades, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, my dude.